I have been to every corner of every sector of the universe, and I have learned one thing. The universe needs a change. We live in a place rotten with hedonism and chaos, an untamed and absent place, completely demoralized. A place of darkness. When I was admitted into the Green Lantern Corps, I believed I had finally escaped the darkness. I worked hard to validate the Power Ring's choice. I rushed to my home planet, Corrigar, to free it from sin. I brought order and swore to do the same with the rest of Sector 1417, and then with the rest of the universe. For a while, the Guardians called me the greatest Green Lantern of all, until I trained a human who took everything from me. Hal Jordan called me a fascist for the order I established on Corrigar. I was stripped of my ring, labeled the first renegade Green Lantern, and banished to the furthest corner of the universe, known as the Antimatter Universe. And it was here, back in the darkness, that I felt fear for the first time. I was blinded by its brilliance. I believed that fear was part of the chaos I abhorred, but it was more controllable than all the willpower in the universe. And it would be mine. Hal Jordan and the universe would be mine. I will make the universe change. The lanterns will change. In the blackest day, in the brightest night, beware your fears made into light. Let those who try to stop what is right burn with my power, the power of Sinestro. We begin on Earth, where Zoom is fighting against the Trinity. He's putting up a good fight until Green Lantern Hal Jordan shows up to stop him and tells him it's enough. The reason Hal is here is because he's looking for Sinestro. Obviously, Solomon won't tell him where Sinestro is, as he knows the truth about Hal. Everything he did that day when he went mad and wiped out all those lanterns. Diana asks him to step aside, as she'll handle him. But before she can, Zoom escapes without a trace. Upon his escape, Batman tells them that a yellow ring visited Earth and chose him as its bearer, since he has a great ability to instill fear and would become part of something called the Sinestro Corps. Hal walks away, deciding that he will handle this himself, as he doesn't believe the Sinestros are Earth's problem, but rather the Green Lanterns. Meanwhile, in space, Rayner, who has Ion within him, manages to capture a yellow ring that was heading towards Sector 304, just like the rest of the rings we see. On the other hand, in Sector 0, the Guardians encounter Cyborg Superman. They can't understand how Hank knows the secret of the 52. Well, that's easy. He was a prisoner in the Source Wall, traveled beyond it, and entered the Bleed until he was recovered by the Manhunters. Now he knows about the 51 parallel Earths and discovered that if Earth is destroyed, it would trigger a chain reaction, collapsing the other Earths, and the multiverse would collapse, leaving only the universe of matter. This is a secret no one else should know, so they will imprison him. Hank knowing it is strange to one of the Guardians, as it could mean the blackest night is near. But of course, the other Guardians refuse to accept it. Elsewhere, we find ourselves in the Red Sun prison with Superboy Prime. A lantern meeting is taking place when suddenly, a yellow ring appears to welcome the Lost One. New protocols are being received to recalibrate the mission. Rayner, Ion, is in the crosshairs, ready to be captured and transported to the Antimatter Universe. Upon arriving, he is shocked to see that the Yellow Lanterns are controlling this place. In front of them all is Sinestro. The Guardians had billions of years to bring order to the universe and failed. Now it's his turn to spread the light and take control. Kyle tries to communicate with Hal, but his transmission is interrupted by Sinestro, who goes directly to capture him. While this was happening, the Green Lanterns were investigating what happened to Kyle. Some traces of antimatter seem to reveal Ion's fate. Out of nowhere, they begin to be attacked, not only by rings, but by the Sinestro Corps, who have arrived in this place. Returning to Kyle, who is defending himself from the attacks, a monster tells him that he was the first lantern to dishonor his father. Kyle tells him that's not true. Amon dishonors himself. His father was one of the most respected lanterns to ever live. Before he can do anything, Kyle is attacked from behind by Sinestro. After all, it's good to see him again. For now, what Kyle feels is pain, but soon that will turn to fear. Back with Hal Jordan, something catches his attention. Many rings have abandoned their bearers and are seeking replacements. This cannot be good. a loud noise is heard, and upon reaching the Red Sun prison, they find the prison empty, along with a large number of corpses. Meanwhile, Sinestro is preparing to strip Kyle Rayner of his emotional entity. He is not Ion. He is merely a host, just as Hal was with Parallax. Once he's without the entity, Kyle feels fear, which means he's ready for Parallax to take him. Now, Sinestro must welcome Kyle Rayner, who has joined the Sinestro Corps. Later, we see them moving forward. It seems the team is finally complete, with Superboy Prime, Cyborg Superman, and the Anti-Monitor as part of this corps. Superboy Prime prepares and asks Sinestro if, in the end, he will get what he wants, his reason for being here. Sinestro tells him that fear is spreading, and everyone will get what they want. Fear will consume them, and the universe will be a better place for it. Returning to Hal, Guy Gardner tells him that the Guardians have ordered everyone to return to OA as they need to prepare for a second attack. Hal agrees, but says they need to recharge first. After reciting the oath, Jordan is about to charge his ring when suddenly Parallax emerges from the battery. Hal begins to remember the plane crash that killed his father. He never knew what his father's last words were and fears he died in terror. The new Parallax appears before him. Kyle Rayner tells Hal that he took what Hal has done and improved upon it. At one time, he was the last torchbearer, and he accepted that mantle, but in recent months, he has realized that Hal was right. Having his own Lantern Corps is a good thing, and now he will welcome Hal to Cord. On Corrigar, Sinestro appears to see what has become of his planet. With all this disorder, it seems like he must teach these people a lesson, one they won't soon forget. Before they can do anything, Saranic arrives and tries to stop her father using lethal force, something the ring will not permit, as it redirects the missile she created. This is exactly what Sinestro dislikes. They lack the power to kill, and without the fear of death, what do those who wield the rings truly fear? Even with everything happening, Saranic doesn't stop and continues fighting. Sinestro doesn't understand why she does it. They're supposedly both seeking the same thing, to protect their planet. She tells him that's not true. They're not the same, and she will do whatever it takes to protect the innocent, even fight him, because she fears nothing. Well, Sinestro knows she does have fear, and that's becoming someone like her father. All this fear is making her weak. She must learn to embrace fear and use it against others to bring order. She must make the universe fear her, just as he does. He could kill her, but she's more useful alive. He will gain his victory by making Corrigar believe she has defeated him. The people know she's a great healer and a great warrior too. Soon, the government will beg her to bring order to Corrigar, and she won't refuse. She can't. That's where her curse lies, not in helping her own people, but in not being able to extend that help to the whole sector as she claims she wishes to do. Sinestro will leave while she must take care of this planet until he returns. Once Sinestro leaves, the inhabitants believe she has won and now see her as the savior of Corrigar. Meanwhile, on OA, the Lanterns are preparing for war, especially Showdown yet. He's a good kid and will soon have something very special within him. The Guardians of the Universe order Kilowog to lead that squadron. Without a doubt, the Sinestro Corps must be planning an attack on the heart of the Green Lanterns, the planet Mogo. And if Mogo falls, there won't be any future recruits. Everyone must hurry. Sinestro's army could arrive at any moment. Meanwhile, Hal Jordan is still fighting Kyle Rayner. This will be the end, and the universe will recognize Parallax as the embodiment of terror, with Sinestro controlling everything. Does Hal still wonder what his father's last words were? It wasn't Geronimo or Bomb. This won't be the typical fight where the one with the most willpower wins. It will be a fight where Hal faces his greatest fears. He can already taste all his fears. To make things worse, he not only has to fight Parallax, but an entire army of Yellow Lanterns. At this moment, he is going to die, murdered by an army. After all, he always despised and abandoned his Corps. Well, maybe he did despise them, but Green Lanterns never abandon their own, and now they're also in the antimatter universe. Meanwhile, outside of Earth, Superboy Prime is watching, waiting for his moment to strike. At the same time, Cyborg Superman reports to the Anti-Monitor. For years, he has been burned and disintegrated, yet he continues to survive. The cosmic accident that cursed him with immortality killed his friends and his wife. The planet Ranks is in position to attack Mogo. To the Anti-Monitor, everything is going according to plan. Once their deal is finished, the Anti-Monitor will end Hank's life. Returning to the antimatter universe, the Lanterns put up a good fight, but Parallax shows no restraint and eliminates anyone who stands in his way. Even though many Lanterns want to kill Kyle, they can't do it as they are restricted by their ring's prohibition on lethal force. No matter how many there are, it's too much for them. They have no choice but to retreat. They have located a series of tunnels below and, upon advancing, reach the catacombs of the Citadel. There, they find walls engraved with writings saying that fear infects again and again. There are only a few of them left, and it's time to split up. While some will go rescue Kyle Rayner, others will search for John and Guy Gardner. Hal's team manages to find the latter two, who are being held prisoner by Lyssa Drac, the guardian of the Book of Parallax. She knows fear better than anyone, and this will be a wonderful story. Meanwhile, just as the Guardians predicted, Mogo is about to be attacked. Arkillo is commanding a large number of Sinestro Corps members. First, they'll take down Mogo, then the rest of the Lanterns. Kilowog arrives with his army in time to defend the planet. Their mission is simple. They will clear Mogo and send the attackers back where they came from. For everyone's sake, they hope to save him, as Mogo is responsible for guiding the rings to find someone who can overcome fear. Without him, the rings would have no direction. As the battle begins, Sodam yet stands out and asks if this is the best they've got. Though ideally, they should leave their egos aside and focus on the fight. Inside Ranks, it prepares for revenge. Arkillo reports that the landing is stabilized and secure. Kilowog knows that destroying Mogo won't be easy, so they must have something planned with Ranks. And well, he's right, because they've brought gravity disruptors to the fight. Ranks can use them to dig into Mogo, whose planetary crust is weak and thin right at that spot, all caused by a previous meteor impact. Arkillo takes down any lantern in his way until he encounters Kilowog. Finally, he has a somewhat worthy opponent. Those words irritate the Green Lantern. He could take down 2 Sinestro Corps members with no problem. Arkillo uses his ring's power to create a net and uses a rock to land a heavy blow. That wasn't enough, as Kilowog gets up and delivers a heavy punch to his opponent, knocking him out for at least a while. But it wasn't long, as Arkillo recovers to attack Arisha. While the Green Lanterns always argue about what to do, the Yellow Lanterns always follow orders without question. That's why they always win. Returning to Hal, Lisa tells him that she is responsible for recording all the stories of the Sinestro Corps. She thanks them for coming this far, because after a slow and painful death, she will record her own story. Hal has no time for tales and easily deals with Lisa. While this is happening, John and Guy are freed. It's time to let their light shine where the sun cannot. Both are safe. That torture of facing their greatest fears was intense. While they have freed themselves, they now face another problem. Hal's ring is almost out of power, and he needs a weapon, or rather some weapons. Jordan takes several yellow rings to start absorbing their power. In the center of the universe, the Guardians are discussing what to do. Some want to save Kyle Rayner, others say the most important thing is to save Ion, while others prioritize preventing Mogo from falling. There is no choice. If they want to win, they must rewrite the Book of OA. Ganthet and Ced refuse to do that. So, as an act of betrayal, they are expelled from the Guardians' Council. In the sanctuary of the Sinestro Corps, Lyra and Kahan's team has been advancing through the tunnels until they reach the Anti-Monitor, who tells them that the time of their deaths has come. Kahan tells his team to step back, as his ring will glow and he is about to attack the Anti-Monitor. Returning to Hal, Amon Sur's team has found them and can't believe Hal is using their rings. Apparently, his experience with Parallax has given him the willpower to control fear in a limited way. Although given the previous events, it may not be wise to let Hal Jordan use that power. As long as his hair doesn't go gray again, everything will be fine. That seemed to be the case until Sinestro arrives with Parallax to initiate his attack. It's amusing to see Hal fighting for access to the power of fear. He may be using some of his powers thanks to Parallax, but he has no idea how to manipulate fear, and that will be demonstrated to him. The yellow rings are also starting to run out of energy. John seizes a distraction to take out one of the manhunters. Guy goes for Sinestro and grabs him from behind. He's going to shove his ring up Sinestro's nose, but Parallax is the one who now strikes Guy from behind. Kyle was about to finish off Guy when suddenly Hanu and Lyra appear with Ion. They manage to free him from the Anti-Monitor at the cost of Kahan's life, who didn't survive the earlier impact. The Green Lanterns escape. If the Anti-Monitor is still alive, he knows they must go to Earth for support. Kyle will take care of that while the others take Ion to the power battery. Meanwhile, on OA, the Guardians convene a meeting. They have suffered a great loss of members. The Sinestro Corps fight ruthlessly. For these reasons, they have rewritten the book. The first law states that the rings are now authorized to use lethal force against the Sinestro Corps. This will help them greatly because while Hal was heading to Earth, he was being pursued by Parallax. Back with Mogo, the Sinestro Corps was wiping out many Green Lanterns. Meanwhile, Sodam has managed to infiltrate the interior of ranks. Despite suffering some casualties, they reach Inkafos to neutralize him, and now they begin to attack the core of ranks. His mind is overloading. Inside Mogo, Kilowog and the others are fighting for their lives when they receive a message from their rings. The book has been rewritten, and now they can use lethal force. The Lanterns are soldiers, and it's time to use that force for all their fallen friends. Kilowog asks Mogo to distribute his energy and start retreating. They can win this war now. In ranks, Sodam's eyes shine when he learns they can use lethal force, so he will deal with Inkafos. It's time to finish off ranks once and for all. Sodam will take care of that, and everyone must escape because they probably won't survive the explosion. The battle between ranks and Mogo has ended. Some of the Yellow Lanterns managed to escape, but this will give them a small breather in this war. Everyone wonders what happened to Sodam. Well, as he had promised, he came out alive and is ready to move forward. Suddenly, Hal contacts Salak. They must go to Earth immediately, as that is the Sinestro Corps' new target. All this time, Superboy Prime had been watching from the sidelines, but now the time has come for him to appear, wondering why they took so long. Sinestro tells Hank to take his manhunters and deal with the Justice League. The Anti-Monitor wants to ensure his landing personally. The rest must follow Sinestro to join in his oath. In the darkest day, in the brightest night, beware that your fears become light, that those who try to stop what is right burn with my power, the power of Sinestro. While the Justice League fought against the Manhunters, Sinestro tells Hal that Parallax is in Coast City and is with his little brother. Upon hearing this, Hal leaves immediately, breaking the sound barrier to arrive and stop him before he can harm anyone. Now he will smash Parallax. After landing a blow, John tells him that he and Guy are on their way, but something they don't understand is why Kyle hasn't freed himself from that thing. Well, Hal has the Spectre on his side, so they must think of something akin to death to free him. Before they can do anything, the power levels of the ring drop to 0. Hal belongs to Parallax again and is consumed. He now has a new partner. Meanwhile, Guy is searching for something that could make Kyle reconsider when he is intercepted by a horde of Yellow Lanterns, who in turn are intercepted by a group of Green Lanterns led by Sodam Yad. Elsewhere, Cyborg Superman is fighting Superman. Hank tells him he can't kill him, but to be honest, Superman has never tried to do so. Things get complicated as 3 Supermen arrive with the arrival of Superboy Prime. Back with Parallax, John can't put up much of a fight against the entity, but what he can do is buy some time for Guy to arrive with a painting made by Kyle, who is inside Hal. Kyle tells him that they killed his mother. A virus called Despotelis killed her, a member of the Sinestro Corps. She died because of Kyle. Hal tells him that for guys like them, overcoming fear is the best thing they do. But that's not something they can do alone. They must do it as a team. They shake hands and manage to break free from Parallax, who is unwilling to let it end this way. This is when Ganthet and Set arrive with batteries to capture Parallax. Weakened, Parallax is trapped in 4 batteries. Ganthet will give Kyle a ring, just as he did before. The Earth Lanterns are ready, with their power at 100%, to face the Sinestro Corps. On the planet OA, the Guardians observe that the Sinestro Corps' objective is not the center of the universe, but the center of the multiverse. Authorizing the use of lethal force will not be enough. They must find a host for Ion as soon as possible. Meanwhile, the Anti-Monitor has arrived on Earth. Sodam Yet's team was nearby and decided to go after him. Obviously, that's not a good idea, and the Monitor kills several of them and severely injures Sodam. Even so, he manages to stand up with great willpower. The Anti-Monitor is growing tired of this and attacks him again. Suddenly, the Guardians appear before Sodam. They have found the host they were looking for. Using Ion's power, he will become unstoppable. And now, behold the Green Lantern's most powerful weapon, the new Ion. Meanwhile, on a dark night, Superboy Prime is standing in front of the statue of Flash, Bart Allen. To Prime, he was always a stupid kid, and for that reason, he's going to change his name on the gravestone so that people will know him as the stupidest dead kid. As he changes the name, a large group of heroes appears before him. He was indeed expecting to see them again. The speedsters are the first to attack him. Flash had hoped to see him here, but really, there's nowhere else Prime would want to go. There are no other worlds left, and besides, he doesn't like any of them. In the face of Prime, there's not much Batman can do, but he realizes that the armor Prime is wearing must be feeding him. If they destroy it, they can stand a chance. Prime agrees, but says it won't matter for long, because he's almost fully charged again. It's still night, but as soon as the yellow sun rises, he'll be able to absorb bullets again without the armor's help. Bit by bit, the armor begins to break, and as he fights, Prime recalls his origin and the moment when he was pushed aside by Superman. Since that day, everything changed for him when he was recruited and fought against the Anti-Monitor, who also had armor. That's where he got the idea to build his own. After fighting the original Superman and crossing a red sun, he lost his powers, and the Lanterns managed to capture him, imprisoning him in the middle of a red sun. When Sinestro recruited him, he pretended to believe his story, but when he saw the Anti-Monitor, he wanted to tear him in half. The Anti-Monitor had destroyed his Earth and took away his chance to return. Prime decided he would work for them, but when the time came, the Anti-Monitor would bow to him. Things get complicated for Prime when the other supers show up to attack him. Power Girl wants to finish him off once and for all. Superman asks her not to cross the line, even though Prime already has in the past. It seems he won't escape this time. Clark begins to cry. Once he had everything he wanted by his side and gave it up so this Earth could survive. They never thanked him or asked his forgiveness for it. Superman regrets what's happened, but that's no excuse for everything Prime has done. Prime attacks him with his heat vision, telling him he doesn't need a sermon. All the heroes arrive and take advantage of his broken armor. This time, he won't escape. Suddenly, a ray of light illuminates him. It's the yellow sun. Dawn has come, and as he said before, he no longer needs the armor or the power of the Yellow Lanterns because now he will stop being Superboy and become Superman Prime. He will test his new power against Ion, who might feel special, but to Superman, he's nothing special. The two begin to fight and land solid blows. In the distance, the Anti-Monitor and the Guardians watch the battle. Prime grabs Ion and flies with him, delivering a punch. Ion fights back, sending Prime flying. The Guardians had quickly instructed him, telling him that with his power and Daxamite lineage, he would achieve great results. He attacks with his heat vision automatically, and both burn as they use their powers. Prime recovers quickly and makes Ion bleed. The blow sends him flying to a nuclear plant in New York. To Sodam, something feels wrong, as if something is draining his power. Prime asks him if he knows who he's messing with and impales him with a rod. His ring detects massive amounts of lead in this place. The Guardians had warned him of limitations, which is why Prime was able to pierce him with the rod. Sodam tries to defend himself and grabs the rod to make Prime eat it. But for him, it's nothing. In fact, Prime loves uranium in the morning. Sodam begins to suffer, and if for any reason he takes off his ring, he will die. As Prime told him at the start, he doesn't seem like much. Once they leave the nuclear plant, Sodam starts to recover and manages to hit Prime with a green beam. To Prime, Showdown is just a cheap version of Superman with a ring. Showdown attacks him again, telling him to shut up before giving him a hard kick. Prime decides to end this once and for all, landing an incredible number of punches. Showdown can no longer hear anything. He only feels the blows as his bones begin to break. His attack is blurred. He did so much to get to this point, and now he's going to die. His days, hours, seconds are running out. There's no time left. And so, the Green Lantern's ultimate weapon comes to its end. Prime wonders who's next. The war is nearing its end, and the Green Lanterns are preparing. The four Lanterns have a battery containing a bit of Parallax. To manage it, they'll split into teams of two. John and Guy will go to New York, and Jordan and Kyle to Coast City. Upon arrival, Hal alerts the entire city. A threat is on its way, and they must evacuate the city along with their families. Meanwhile, in New York, the Anti-Monitor begins feeding off the energy of this world. It's time to disrupt the positive energy and transform it into a wall of antimatter that will devastate the surface of the Earth. This planet and the multiverse will finally belong to the Anti-Monitor. In Coast City, no one plans to escape. This city has been through so much, and they're not thinking of abandoning it or the Green Lantern. All the citizens have lit a green light to show they stand with him. No one will leave. Hal Jordan, motivated by this, heads off to fight Sinestro. Sinestro sees that Kyle has freed himself from Parallax. If that's the case, Kyle is no longer useful to them, and Sinestro will give a second ring to anyone in his corps who can make them scream. The rest of the Green Lanterns arrive in space to begin the battle. Lyra from Sector 112 stands out among them and takes down anyone in her way. Amon can't believe they are killing. It's his turn to be defeated, and Amon Sur's ring leaves its bearer. On Earth, the Guardians of the Universe arrive to help try to stop the Anti-Monitor. The latter has not yet fully reborn. Under that armor is the Anti-Monitor, and if they destroy his shell, they might defeat him. Elsewhere, John Stewart communicates with Kilowog, having just come up with an idea along with Guy Gardner. Back in space, Sinestro puts another of his plans in motion by using Hank's Manhunters. They have the ability to wield yellow power and begin consuming the energy of the Green Lantern rings. Kyle and Hal prepare to fall, but manage to survive the impact of the fall without issue after their rings lose power. In another part, Kilowog begins executing John's plan, capturing the central battery of the Sinestro Corps. Once they have it, they throw it against the Anti-Monitor. The rest of the Green Lanterns create a shield to trap the Anti-Monitor along with the battery. Inside the shield is also Cyborg Superman with his Manhunters, who thanks the Green Lanterns. After that, he is hit by the battery's explosion. When he is destroyed, the rest of the Manhunters stop functioning. In Coast City, Hal was trying to reach his battery to recharge his ring. Sinestro intercepts him just as the Manhunters fall, and he takes one of their heads to drain Sinestro's ring. Now that Sinestro has lost his power, they'll have to fight without rings to see who will win. In New York, the Green Lanterns realize they can win now that the Sinestro Corps have no battery and have lost their Guardian. To their surprise, the Anti-Monitor is still alive. It is at this moment that Superman Prime takes his revenge on the Anti-Monitor for destroying his Earth and rips him in half. He's had enough of everything the Anti-Monitor has done. He was going to finish him after taking down Earth, but he's just like everyone else here, weak. Without his armor, the Anti-Monitor should go die somewhere else in space while Prime takes control from now on. As he descends, everyone tries to stop him. Prime will take them all down, no one can hold him back, and he also takes out some Sinestro Corps members. The Guardians arrive, witnessing how much destruction Prime has caused, realizing that this will last for the rest of their lives. Prime intends to kill one of the Guardians to see if they bleed or if they only have light inside them. One of the Guardians tells him that this is how they die, and finally, Prime is played with a power capable of eclipsing his own. The Guardian is willing to sacrifice himself to free the universe of this terrible being. The Guardian explodes and Superman Prime is wiped out, for now, at least. The remaining members of the Sinestro Corps flee Earth, and Hal, with the help of Kyle Rayner, defeats Sinestro and places him under arrest. This war is over. The Guardians know that the Sinestro Corps will rebuild their battery. That may be the case, but they'll be powerless without a leader. As for Prime, he's been removed atom by atom and was transported into the multiverse. Everyone agrees that these threats will arise again, so they must enforce the second law of the Book of OA. Elsewhere, Sed and Ganthet remain in exile. They know that the Guardians will do everything they can to prevent the Blackest Night. They have power on their side to create a new blue core that will bring hope. In a distant part of space, Cyborg Superman's remains are located by the Manhunters. They find him with no vital signs, but later they bring him back to life, restoring his vital signs. Elsewhere, the corpse of the Anti-Monitor laments what has happened. Prime and everything else will belong to him. The darkness watches him. He must rise again. Suddenly, something traps him, and he is locked inside a new power battery, marking the beginning of the Blackest Night. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more content like this. I'm TJ Prime, and see you in the next video.